Steph Curry putting the dagger on Klay Thompson, Eric Spoelstra pulling a Chris Webber in Detroit in front of Jalen Rose to cost his team the game, De'Aaron Fox dropping a franchise record 60 points and still losing, and the Nets erasing a 21-point second-half deficit in the Garden to nearly beat the Knicks. All statements I'd never thought I'd say, but here we are after 2 nights of the NBA Cup. Can it get any more unhinged than this? You know, when Adam Silver announced that the NBA would be adding an in-season tournament before the 23-24 season, the response was mixed. Is it another money grab? Are guys actually going to compete like it's the playoffs in the month of November? And I think I'm about to burn my retinas out with these courts. Were all legitimate questions and statements. But after what we saw in the inaugural in-season tournament and the overwhelmingly positive response from the media and fans alike, it would return this season with a new sponsor, new name, and of course, the same bright courts. Quick side note, if the league can get this creative for in-season tournament courts, can we keep that same energy, or at least like half of that same energy for the finals? Please and thank you. That's my only request. Anyway, like I said, the Cup is back in full force, and the action tipped off on Tuesday, November 12th. By the end of it, we had Steph Curry look into the camera like this, so you know some high-level wild stuff had to go down for a 4-time champion and Olympic gold medalist to be acting like this in November. But before we head out to the base, shoot, we gotta start in the Motor City and take a look at some Detroit basketball. Is it too early for me to say that the Pistons have officially left the historically awful season they put together in 23-24? They came into this one 4-7, a win total that took them 40 games to reach the season prior, and they went toe-to-toe with the Miami Heat in East Group B pool play. We picked this one up with a little over 3.5 to play in the fourth quarter with Cade Cunningham, who had himself 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists on the night, spinning and winning for 2 of those points right here. Skip ahead a few minutes, okay, and now pause it. Look at that score, people. Hit play. Tyler Hero off the dribble from deep to tighten the gap to 6, down to a minute left. Ball in the hands of Hero again, and he walks into the triple, and it's a 1-possession game. Detroit turns it over on the next possession and frees it. There's only one way Terry Rozier is going with this ball, people, and we know who he's going to.
Rozier to the basket. Hero from the sideline splashes down another 3.
Now, last possession of the game, Hero has a chance to literally become the embodiment of his last name, and, well, we got overtime. And this is where we see Bam Adebayo quite literally become the embodiment of his name with this dunk.
We'll try to make this a 3-point play.
Watch this lob. I mean, he can only go up and get it with one hand. From Robinson, look at that, folks. Bam Adebayo, concentration, great hands, elevation, and the finish while getting hacked.
Yeah, you'll see the reach on that yam. I'm impressed. Fast forward now to what could be the winning shot of this one, and of course, it's Tyler Hero, who comes up with the clutch bucket. The man had 40 on the night. So, it's over, right? I mean, after all, this is the Pistons we're talking about.
Wrong.
Let me back off. Lob it inside. Jalen Duren with the jam. What an out-of-bounds play. 121 to 121.
Well, that literally took him less than a second. And because the defensive breakdown on this play was so incomprehensible, the man considered to be the best coach in the NBA calls a timeout that he doesn't have. Jalen Rose is in the building, and he's experienced full-on deja vu like you wouldn't believe in this moment. Malik Beasley hits the technical free throw, and that was the game. Yeah, Mark Coach Spo costing his team the game is something of the unexpected.
Eric Spoelstra, was he going to cry yesterday? Did it look to you guys? And I can't imagine that there are a lot of times after a loss that Eric Spoelstra has ever felt worse than that, no matter the stakes in the loss, because it is so very rare for the coach to be that overtly responsible. That coach. With a mistake.
And of course, you had the nightcap of the return of Klay to the Bay, where the captain's hats were handed out to the entire crowd. But first, what about the rest of the games? Well, the Celtics dropped a rare one at home to the Hawks without Trae Young. That's tough. 117-116 after a tip-in by Nneka Okongwu with 6.1 seconds left. Jaylen Brown balled out with 37 but couldn't cash in on the last-second shot, and somehow the Hawks became even more confusing with this W. The Magic blew out the Hornets 114-89. Not much more to say about that. Joel Embiid made his season debut against the Knicks, and they still lost. Maybe because of defense and effort, or lack thereof, on plays like this? Yeah, not a lot of brotherly love going on in Philly at the moment. This was pretty bad. This happened to Giannis.
For the time being. Oh, wow. My goodness, where'd that come from, Fernando?
I have no clue where it came from either. Not to fear though, Giannis threw down some dunks of his own in the Bucks' much-needed win. The Suns marched into Utah and got 31 from Booker and 24 from Beal to win their opening game of group play. Portland, shout out to that court. That's got to be one of my favorites. I'm getting a sophisticated vibe here. And you know what? Shout out to the Blazers for getting the 122-108 dub over Minnesota in a total team effort. 5 guys in double figures, and Scoot Henderson doing this.
Henderson across into the lane. Snakes one up and in. Wow! Circus shot. Scoot Henderson, a 3-ring circus going up and under. Woo! Spin move.
Yeah, tween cross. And then the whip. Whip that ball up with the wrist.
And then the game that made the headlines. It's a packed house for Klay's return to the Bay, and while it was all love for Thompson, the Dubs wanted anything but smooth sailing for the Mavs on this night. It looked like Dallas was weathering the storm quite well at first though, and Klay, he looked comfortable in familiar territory. Too comfortable.
A fake, a fire, and a triple.
How many times have we seen that? Uh-oh. And a little Curry shake there after that three. Little gamesmanship going on here, people. This is the most animated I've seen Klay Thompson after making shots. Here's the little Curry shake right here.
Yeah, Klay messed up.
I have to ask you, we know how much respect you have for Klay, but when he did the shimmy, you're waiting to check in, we're shaking your head. What were you thinking when you saw him pull that off?
He knows better than that.
Steph scores Golden State's final 12 points, drains a clutch 3 to seal it for the Dubs, and seeks out the camera to make it known that this is still his house. 37 points total in a game he most definitely took personal against his Splash brother.
This is what the NBA is about, like competition. No matter what the sound bites were before the game, leading up to it, we knew there could be a lot of emotions, but both teams wanted to win. Like, felt like playoff type atmosphere, back and forth, great players making great plays on both sides. So that's why we love the competition. We love being out here.
Yeah, it hurts to be on the other side of one of his flurries. Guy got hot at the end and made some ridiculous shots. I know I've been on the other end and it sucks, but like I said before, I think we play them 3 more times, so hopefully we can learn from it and learn their tendencies a little better.
All I can say is, the community we got going on over here, we're on the winning end of things. You can join that too. Simply hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay locked into everything we got going on around here. I want to get the discussion going in the comments down below as well. What was your favorite moment from week 1 of the NBA Cup? Sound off in the comments with your take. I'll be reading and replying to those responses. Now, if you thought the first night of the Cup was wild, it's about to get even more unhinged. It's like every player said, well, it's not the mid-2000s anymore, so really, what is 30-plus points? 40-plus points? 60 points? Not enough to win, apparently. Just ask De'Aaron Fox, but we'll get there. We're going to start out with the New York Knicks playing their crosstown rivals, the Brooklyn Nets, who are trailing by as many as 21 points in the second half. But when you have Cam Thomas, who's practically inherited the walking bucket title at this point, scoring 43 points with 7 threes, you're finna make a comeback. Dennis Schroeder puts the Nets ahead by 1 with 11 and a half ticks left, and well, it's either collapse or clutch that's going to define this game for the Knicks. And they go with...
Before they had Williams on it. The former teammates. Brunson fires for three. The Knicks lead by 2. Final seconds. Schroeder blocked by Bridges. Mikal Bridges with the huge defensive play.
Big body Brunson clutches up, finishes with 37 points. Mikal Bridges delivers some glass cleaning services at the end of this one against his former team to move the Knicks to 2-0 in pool play. Now remember how I mentioned that there were high-scoring performances on this night? Like, what really is 30-plus points nowadays? Well, Donovan Mitchell answered that question with an easy night. He drops 37, the Cavs, to no one's surprise at this point, win again, 144-126 over the Bulls. But this type of bucket getting doesn't even come close to what happened in Sacramento. But first, the rest of the games on night 2 of the Cup. Detroit down Toronto 99-95 in Canada to move to 2-0 in pool play. And okay, alright, I'll admit it, they clearly aren't last year's team. Orlando moved to 2-0 in pool play with a 98-86 win over the Sixers, which dropped them to 2-10 overall. Yeesh. Plus, you can rub it in at the end of these games because it's about point differential, so double yeesh. The Heat downed Indy 124-111 to avenge that first loss at Detroit. With 15 points, 16 boards, and 12 dimes, the ageless one notched his 4th straight triple-double, marking the first time he's achieved that in his career spanning over 100 years. While Anthony Davis, he tallied a game-high 40 points to lift the Lakers over the Spurs 120-115 in a back-and-forth battle in West Group B. Don't leave these two out, though. CP3, who hit 12K assists in this one, and Austin Reeves, who was diming his teammates like he was at a Coinstar. I mean, look at the passes by this man. The Hawks moved to 2-0 with a 129-117 win over Washington. And no, my eyes aren't at all being burned out by that bright yellow court. That's of course only the case if I turn the brightness down to about 10%. OKC beat a shorthanded Suns team 99-83, which was a very low-scoring game compared to the rest of the action on this night, if you're asking me. Houston thumped the LA Clippers 125-104 in H-Town behind 28 from Jabari Smith Jr. Oh, and Jalen Green, he caught an alley-oop over James Harden to quite literally dunk on the old guard. And yes, I fully mean that as a double entendre. New Orleans beat a Jokic-less Denver 101-94 down in the Big Easy. The Dubs pulled out the W 123-118 against the Grizzlies, and Steph only had to play 26 minutes, so double W. And then we had some absolute insanity in Sacramento. At first, it looks like Minnesota's going to take this one comfortably, especially as Anthony Edwards is yamming on their heads in the third quarter. But enter in De'Aaron Fox. He scores 20 points in the fourth quarter, an absolute explosion. The man is cooking from everywhere on the floor, and the Kings have a 4-point lead with just over a minute to play. Enter in Anthony Edwards once again. He drives in a late whistle, but connects on the tough and one to bring the gap to 1. Then the next possession, Edwards attacks again and gets another bucket +1. With the conversation being around AE jacking up all these threes at the beginning of the season, the man, he's showing us here that he's still a threat going downhill. De'Aaron Fox, though, drives and float game to tie the score at 115. That gave him 54 points in total. Wolves have a chance for the win as Edwards drives and kicks out to McDaniels, but the tray falls short, and we have OT. Now, De'Aaron Fox, he still did his thing in this OT, don't get me wrong. 6 points in the extra frame gave him 60 on the night, a career high in Sacramento Kings high 60 points, that is. But ladies and gentlemen, this OT belonged to Ant-Man. 7 of Minnesota's 15 points were scored by Edwards, and he assisted on 2 of their 3 other baskets. Basically, all but 1 bucket belonged to him, and after losing to Portland not only in the first game of the Cup on Tuesday, but on the night after that as well, this man wasn't about to let his team drop another one, and this 36-point performance was evidence of that.
I mean, I think whenever I hit my 3 on him, he was like, tough shot, and then he comes down and I foot on the line, shot over 2 guys. I'm like, that's whenever you got it going, and he's trying to string people out, we're trying to double him, get the ball out of his hands. That's the way that you take over games. You have to make tough shots like that, and regardless if it was a 2 or a 3, it made it a 2-possession game, and that's what you do to carry your team to a win.
Can the NBA Cup get any more wild? Could we see more signature moments from Steph Curry, like in the video card on the top right of your screen? Feel free to go ahead and check that out now. And I'll be back with more Topic Tackle coming soon as always. Stay solid, people.